Earlier this year, we reviewed the Lancool 217, which was their wooden accents case. And based on our testing, and to be honest, my opinion, it's probably one of the better cases this year. It had nice, sophisticated look, and it had really good performance. Well, Lian Li went ahead and made it a bit less sophisticated in this Infinite Edition. It's a different look of a same case with a few minor adjustments. Let's open up and have a look what we've got inside. The case itself is almost the same in terms of the feature set. The one adjustment here is, well, we got the RGB and the buttons to control the RGB. There are two buttons, M1 to control the front lighting for the mirrored area, and M2 is to control the ARGB across the whole case, which is kind of cool. Let's open up and go through the actual specs. On the side here, we've got our side panel, which kind of just opens up, and it opens up the top section. Not the whole unit, just the top section. Then we have a separate thumb screw at the bottom for the bottom section. And this is exactly the same as the previous case. Then we can take off the top panel. And again, we have normal mesh, no extra filter, just a mesh. Back panel. So for the back panel, there are no screws, and we also have a mesh here. What I found with the other case, and I think, yep, the same thing here. We have plenty of space here for cables, so none of the cables ever will be pushing against the back panel. So you can have basically almost unmanaged cables just throw in there. At the top, as you can see here, we have the fan headers and ARGB headers at the same time. So they actually connected up together. So they all interconnect, and they're using these proprietary connectors for this. And there is nothing spare here. So you can only control the existing pre-wired fans and the little RGB strip that's inside here. So you'd have to connect the rest of your fans either directly or have a separate hub. I do like that, just like with the other case, since it's a white case, they've gone with silver screws everywhere, so it looks clean. The only exception is these connectors that connect to your motherboard, and they connect up to this little board as well. But to be honest, this is at the back, it doesn't really matter. I do like that they have little signs here saying that first unscrew the bottom fixing screw before adjusting, so they actually just put little stickers on them. I don't remember seeing this on the other case. I have a feeling people have broken this tray before undoing the screws below. So you have the screws here to move them. Just like the other case, in here, you can see here we have the power supply cable. You can install the power supply in a typical orientation where you'd have the power cable going out that way, so you can remove this little back panel. Or you can install it in a 90-degree fashion. So route this cable around and plug it in from the back, and then you route your cables this way. And then we have a bunch of Velcros all over the place, a lot of cable retention clips here, so you can route all your cables all over the place, no problem, and even more Velcros here. At the front, we have these two massive 170mm fans just behind the little covers. They have a 1500 RPM speed. At the back here, we have a 140mm fan just for exhaust, and it has a 1900 speed, which is pretty significant for a case like this. You can actually install a bunch more. So you can install a 320mm fans, or I believe in this case, you can only go 240, or alternatively, you can go with a 360mm radiator. These are all adjustable. So on the other case, you can actually install fans here. Here I can actually see you can install some SSDs, or you could actually install fans if you really wanted to. So this grill can kind of come off. Just like all the other Lian Li cases, you can actually do installation of a vertical GPU as well. The pre-installed fans are actually wireless, so if you really wanted to, you can actually use them in the wireless mode, just like other Lian Li fans that they have on the market. That's the overview from here. Let me set up a system in it and see what it's like to build inside and what kind of performance we'll get out of it. Now that I've spent a while exploring this case, I have a solid opinion of what it's actually like to build inside the Lancool 217 INF, and how it stacks up to the original wooden accent 217. If you want the full breakdown of all the shared features like the PSU mounting, cable routing, and fan layout options, I've already covered those in the original video. There's a link in the description box for your convenience. So I'll keep this part focused on what's different, how it feels to build in, and the performance results. Lian Li didn't reinvent the case here, and that's honestly a good thing. The interior layout is basically identical to the OG 217, same generous cable routing channels, same large cutouts, and the same absurd amount of Velcro straps and tie-down points. As I already mentioned, realistically you don't even need that many. With the amount of space behind the motherboard tray, you can just stuff all your cables there and close the panel with zero stress. So what has actually changed? The biggest difference, of course, is the aesthetic. Wooden accents are gone, replaced with the mirrored front panel and ARGB lit infinity mirror fans. It's a flashier look and stands out a lot more in a dim room. The front I/O module can be now relocated between the top and bottom of the case, depending on whether your PC is sitting on a desk or on the floor. Unlike the original, there is no extra bottom fans pre-installed. The INF version comes with the 3 total fans, 270mm ARGB front fans and 140mm at the back. These fans have infinity mirror hub and can be controlled through your motherboard or wirelessly with a L-Connect 3. Since the INF edition uses the mirror glass with a dual cutout, plugging in front cables is slightly more awkward. You need to look around the mirror to see what you're doing. It's a minor inconvenience, but definitely less straightforward than the wooden version. Everything else about the build is easy and familiar. And just like before, there is more than enough space to work with. Even if you're going for a large GPU, it can support up to 380mm, and a chunky power supply up to 220mm. Cooler can be up to 180mm, which covers you basically with anything. The M1 and M2 lighting buttons sit right next to the power button. That's something to keep in mind because I actually see someone reaching for the lighting controls and accidentally shutting their PC down. And of course, the infinity mirror glass at the front looks great when it's lit up, but it's also a massive fingerprint magnet, so keep a cloth nearby if you want it looking in a tip-top shape. When we ran our standard test setup, the INF version performed slightly different from the original wooden 217. At 100% fan speed, we saw both CPU and GPU at 53 degrees, with the hotspot of 66 degrees. This is a bit of a change from the wooden version, which makes sense since there are 2 less fans blowing at the GPU. But that means that the case is almost 5 dBA quieter. When we noise normalized to 40 dBA, it still stayed in the top group of cases, sitting right next to its wooden twin with 54 degrees on the CPU and 57 on the GPU. Not bad, but certainly trading some performance for RGB and bling, which brings us to a conclusion. I certainly like the original wooden Lancool 217. It combined excellent thermals with sophisticated look, and I honestly thought I'd still prefer that one. But the INF version really surprised me. The mirror front is bold, the lighting looks great, and because the structure itself is unchanged, it remains a fantastic case to build in. If you are after a subtle and elegant look, the wooden version is still the one to go for, but if you want something flashier and more eye-catching, the INF is a solid alternative, with only a slight drop in cooling performance and no compromises on build simplicity. Thanks for watching. If you think this case might be what you need, check out the link below for more details. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.